Woe me your with the hands. That's what I'm all about. Hunger in my eyes, vengeance in my mouth. They don't want no altercation. Situation gon' get critical. It's best that you be easy. The end gon' be biblical. Look, flow like a river. It's something like a miracle. Royalty in my veins, loyalty in my ways. Pay back in every breath. Plus revenge in my heart. The truth in every word. Bring light into the dark. And I ain't never lukewarm. Shit, I blazing in the season. Got plenty food for thought. Just gotta watch who I feed. Now they walking with them angels. So I guess I got this pistol for no reason. Niggas barely breathing, criticizing all my achievements. Won't make me weak. Nah, it won't make me slack off. These niggas baby fat, so I better bear witness or back off. I be ripping shit like sackcloth. The dogs all barked out. Behind me say I cut full. No room for emotion. So I pour my heart out. This road hard, but I intend to stay. And if it ain't UPK, then they in the way. My niggas righteous, they real, they down to something. Flow so deep, they drown a motherfucker. He say he in the truth, oh yeah? Well, it's the home. And I don't hate them brothers, I'm just too loyal to my own. Plus what they believe, hard for me to follow. Don't rank me no head, and I ain't leaving this body to live and sleep in hollow. So when they ask I'm UPK, you tell them absolutely. And I ain't trimming my ways for nothing. Gotta execute me, cause I can never die with my tail tucked between my legs. Shit I be thinking, watching my daughters tucked in their bed. They so smart, and Alana, she's so beautiful, but they ain't like other babies, and they daddy far from usual. Now I'm missing cause I'm about my father's business. It ain't about this shit I used to do in that 98 nagging, the 10 level seats. See, without wisdom, this world make you weak. I found out that the truth was bitter. The lies are sweet. Tried everything. I guess me and Hana had to meet. Now I make the blind see, and I make the dead speak, and teach both my little girls the day that they lie with a man. They better bring me blood and bed sheets. K-Dog smash the time. This Glock match my handpiece, and I ain't trying to take him out, but I will defend this house or take a check. 144 and that black trench on some hitman shit. She call me 47. Praying for Armageddon. Me and my soldiers dressed for the wedding. Fuck the fame. Ass why tell them I'm loyal to the king. Until the righteous reign. Loyal to the king. I walk that straight lane to break the chain. Loyal to the king. The devils can't have me. Bitch, I'm loyal to the king. Bring that hot blood. You bitch ain't loyal to the king. Until the righteous reign. Loyal to the king. I walk that straight lane to break the chain. Loyal to the king. The devils can't have me. Bitch, I'm loyal to the king. Bring that hot blood. You bitch ain't loyal to the king.
Cops won't kill me cause I'm black. Cops won't kill me cause I'm black. Taking no job cause I'm black. She won't hurt me cause I'm black. They don't like me cause I'm black. But she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. Cops won't kill me cause I'm black. Cops won't drill me cause I'm black. Taking no job cause I'm black. She won't fuck me cause I'm black. They don't like me cause I'm black. But she Hispanic so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. I can't fight the cops in the hospital blocks if you don't block. While the crack tough thing to stop. It's the help the ones I love. People's on the block for the grub. The people from my side, then it's love for the big nuts. Busting up the jeans, but we was hurting all the things. Without that crack, you just like me. Dirty nigga from the concrete. But the white man got the same. So we eating out the trash can. People ride by. Well, extend a hand, cause it up. It's an average black man. So for him, that's why I gotta make it. I ain't talking rap. Before the slave ships, I'm one of a kind. Y'all can't take it. I can never leave my spot vacant cause I'm black. I see crowns and I take it cause I'm black. I never been in no spaceship, but I know it's beautiful when I see it. I know that it's gonna come when I need it. I can think for God. What I'm talking to the world play that shit and trust him when you see it. Won't kill me cause I'm black. I told Joey because I'm black. Can't get no job because I'm black. She won't hurt me because I'm black. They don't like me because I'm black. But she Hispanic, so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. Cops wanna kill me because I'm black. I told Joey because I'm black. Can't get no job because I'm black. She won't hurt me because I'm black. They don't like me because I'm black. But she Hispanic, so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. Wanna flip things cause I'm black. Know about cities cause I'm black. Yeah, in the hood, we was strapped 10 toes down. We wear sacks. Substitute feel like we're black. And you gotta guess when I'm at. I be with the priest chilling hard. Right on Malcolm X Boulevard. TV niggas, to me the stars. Everything about my life is hard. But I'm never for open my cars. You want beef? What's the cause? Watch your mouth. I hit hard. Back up for your new dogs. Everything you say, mad pause. Every move I make is within them laws. And I've been involved. It's beneficial. Ask the enemy, I've been official. Every night for weed, I've been official. Homie, I understand why you smoke. Like the princess slave boats. But the Bible is a cheat code. Far blunts don't need those. Brotherhood is life's cheat code. My cops don't know me because I'm black. I feel guilty because I'm black. Can't get no job because I'm black. She won't hurt me because I'm black. They don't like me because I'm black. But she Hispanic, so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. Cops wanna kill me because I'm black. I feel Jew because I'm black. Can't get no job because I'm black. She won't hurt me because I'm black. They don't like me because I'm black. But she Hispanic, so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. I don't got a black cage cause I'm black. I don't put 2 cages cause I'm black. Fuck my whole life cause I'm black. But I left his eye blue and black. Ain't got a trap cause I'm black. Ain't got not one face tat. But I'm still getting profile cause I think these crackers profile. Scruffy in the dark skin. Baggy sweats with the butter Tims. So they know they can't butter him. So they run their shit. If you touch him, you cuff hands. I'm a law keeper. A peace bringer, no tranquility. A peace bringer. Deuce in the street sweeper. Curse flip on these types of shit. But guns out of God and icy bricks that show on my chest and blocking shit. Touch me alone when you blocking shit. Cause I'm black, you think I got a cock to fill. That's a stereotype, that's accurate. Cause crackers laying niggas in these cold streets and then tell my brother you gotta be for me. Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black. I wanna kill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She won't hurt me cause I'm black. They don't like me cause I'm black. But she Hispanic, so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. Cops wanna kill me cause I'm black. Ops wanna drill me cause I'm black. Can't get no job cause I'm black. She won't hurt me cause I'm black. They don't like me cause I'm black. But she Hispanic, so she black. Ain't got no time for none of that. Bitch, I'm a Jew, so I'm black. So I'm black.
Shalom, Israel. Let's clap it up. Clap it up. It's the Tuesday night Brotherhood class. We're going to go over some Brotherhood scriptures. Pride Month. Of course, homosexuality. We're going to get into that topic. First of all, I want to open it up with, does anyone have any questions? You got any questions? We'll just wait. Are you online? So in the meantime, let me see. You said what? I asked, was there any questions? You can hear us good though?
Come.
Right, let me see. Let's start it off with, give me 1 John. If you could, give me 1 John 3 and 13. First John 3 and 13. Yeah, go ahead. Just call it out when you get there.
The book of 1 John, chapter 3, verse 13. Marvel not, my brethren, if the world hate you. Verse 14. We know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren.
Is that 1 John?
Come.
Okay, go back. Read it from the top.
The book of 1 John, chapter 3, verse 13. Marvel not, my brethren, if the world hate you.
Don't marvel, meaning it's not a don't be surprised if the world hates you, right? A lot of times Black and Hispanics, we be surprised when we see how undesired we are. It's like it's a shock to our soul. It just hurts our heart to experience racism, to experience some type of discrimination, to experience those type of things, we marvel at those things. We look at them like, damn, like I can't believe this happened to me. I can't believe that they just called me a nigga. They just called that white man just called me a nigger. I can't believe it. Right? Read it from the top again.
The book of 1 John, chapter 3, verse 13. Marvel not, my brethren, if the world hate you.
Keep going.
We know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren.
So marvel not if the world hates you, right? And that just doesn't go for, people who are not Israelites. That go for your own people. And like I know Black and Hispanic people hate one another to death, right? You always hear people say like, man, why can't we, we can't come together? Can't we all just get along? Can't we all just be unified and, have unity, right? That's like a token phrase in the Black community because of the hate that we have for one another, right? Because of the hate in the world and the hate that we receive from the world of Israel, from our own people. Don't marvel at that. And like we be Black people for so many, decades, almost 100 years, has been trying to figure out a way to find something to unify us, to bring us together to where we treat one another in a way that's conducive to brotherhood. And nothing has worked. Christianity hasn't worked. Islam hasn't worked. And why do I say that? Because I know a lot of brothers and sisters will be offended by that. They say, well, what are you talking about? It hasn't worked. Well, just look at the community. Most Black people are Christians. Most drug dealers are Christians. Most gangbangers are Christian. The funny thing about it is that when we're on the streets, you'll have the roughest, toughest niggas that they're ready to shoot their brother. They're ready to hate their brother. But the minute we say, the white man is the devil, oh, nah, man, I don't know about all that. But you some big bad gangster. But you afraid to call a spade a spade. You're afraid to actually speak the truth. But you'll kill your brother. You'll kill your brother under a lie, right? And Christianity is what we all grew up in, where Christianity says that all men are God's children, right? In Islam, you got Muslim gangs in Fresno. Regalia told me that story. It's a Muslim gang called the Mohammeds in Fresno. This is Black people, gang banging, shooting, and drug dealing. I know I personally knew Muslims that sold drugs, right? Read it from the top again. Not the top, but the second part, the second precept.
Verse 14. We know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren.
Because we love the brethren. So don't marvel at the hate that we have for one another. Don't be, don't marvel at that either. Don't be surprised. Don't be shell shocked from that either. But we always think that we can fix it somehow with these false doctrines and these false religions and philosophies. We think that we can fix it, and we think that we're actually coming together. And all of that stuff has been for nothing, for naught. It has been for nothing, right? It has not served us. It has destroyed us even more. You're always hearing about some brother getting killed. Matter of fact, I want to get to that story about that rapper that just got killed. I want to get to that story also. Remind me about that. You know about that rapper, Trouble? No. I never heard about him until his death, but I want to get into that and the circumstances of that, right? Keep reading.
He that loveth not his brother abideth in death.
It says that if you don't love your brother, you abideth in death. And death is where we've been. Since slavery, that's where we've been. We've been in death. We tried to come together, in the 50s and the 60s in the civil rights movement and, the 50s, 60s, 70s civil rights movement and have Black power groups. We tried it, right? But the hate that we have for one another destroyed us. The Muslims killed Malcolm X, right? That's Islam. That was supposed to be the black man's religion. They killed their own brother, right? What else? Christianity. Martin Luther King was peaceful, and I mean, Martin Luther King, his whole premise was on nonviolence. He still got shot in the face. You know what I'm saying? So coming together under the guise of Christianity and Islam has not worked for us. And if you hate your brother, you abide in death, and that's where we've been at. We've been abiding in death because we hate one another. We can't see past petty differences. We can't get over little things, right? We can't get over the way a brother look at you. Can't get over that. Can't get over somebody, a fender bender. I just seen a video of a brother murdered another brother. He bumped into his car. Would he have a Charger, a Camaro? The brother bumped into his car. He'd get out and shoot 20 shots into the car, right, over a fender bender. That's hate. That's deep-seated hatred, right, that you have for your people. I said it earlier in the video I made. I said, we don't see no value in each other. We don't see no value. We look at another black man like he's some sorry nigga that don't nobody care about, right? And ain't nobody gonna miss him if I put him to death. That's untrue, brother. That's untrue. See, the problem is that we've been spiritually dead for so long, and the hate that we have keeps us right there. Read it again, that precept.
Verse 14. We know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren.
We know that we done passed from. Go up one verse.
Verse 13.
Yeah.
Marvel not, my brethren, if the world hate you.
Right. Keep going.
We know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren.
So when when you love your people, you done came out of that mind state, right? You had to how did you come out of that mind state? How did all the brothers and sisters in the ISUPK come out of that mind state? By learning their true identity, learning who they were according to the scriptures, learning the laws, statutes, and commandments, and understanding that you can't just be hating your brother for nothing. You can't just be ready to kill a brother because he stepped on your Jordans, right? You can't hate another sister because the type of hairstyle she got, right? You see a lot of that with sisters. You can't, hate a sister because the way, she's shaped or the type of clothes she dressed. Black women be real petty with that. Y'all be real petty with that. Like, they always had that thing where they talk about protect black women, right? Meaning, like, if some man says something about black women on a post, you get a lot of women saying protect black women, right? You got to look out for black women. But black women come at each other more than black men come at black women. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but black women talk bad about other black women on social media. I mean, horribly, and nobody says anything, right? So the next time you see a black woman getting on the head of another black woman or just talking about her, just being rude and mean and evil, just say protect black women. Because y'all love to say that when it's a man that says something that might actually help you. Keep reading.
He that loveth not his brother abideth in death.
You abide in death if you don't love your brother. A better way to say it is you abide in death if you don't love your people. Like, you could have everything. You could have the riches, you could have the career, you could have the accolades. But if you hate your people, which a lot of you Negroes do, once you get successful, once you get somewhere, you look down on your people as though they are nothing. A person like you abide in death. No different than the brother in the hood that's shooting out of a car window, right? Go ahead.
Verse 15. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer.
The Bible says that whosoever hated his brother is a murderer. Why is it saying that? Why is it comparing hate to murder? Because that's where it starts. That's where the murder starts. It starts as a little thought in your mind that you hate a brother. for a petty, stupid, silly reason, right? A lot of brothers, they issue with brothers be so small, it be so petty, right? And in California, you already know, it be over what side of town you from, what colors you wear, what high school you went to, real silly things that brothers hate each other for, and it turns into a gun battle one night when y'all go to the club and somebody ends up dead. 2 lives lost, right? Read that precept one more time.
Whosoever hated his brother is a murderer.
What verse are you on?
Verse 15.
You said 16?
Verse 15.
15. Keep going.
And ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him.
Right. So the key is, man, to learn who you are, to understand that, you know, the hate that we have for one another is the reason why we're in the condition we are. If we can't get past that, we'll continue to stay and we'll continue to abide in death. We'll continue to experience death. And we'll continue to marvel and try to come up with answers through Christianity and different religions to fix the lack of unity that we have amongst our people, right? You can drop that. Give me let's see. Give me Ecclesiastes. Give me Ecclesiastes 7 and 17. Everybody knows the commandment where thou shalt not kill. But the Christian church done taught you that the commandments no longer exist. Matter of fact, you can drop that. Give me Matthew 5 and 17. The Christian church has taught our people that we no longer have to hold ourselves accountable. So because the laws are not in effect anymore, according to your Christian pastor, that means that you can kill somebody and you can get away with it. You can flee to another state, because that's what Negroes do. You done kill somebody, then you flee. You go to Vegas, right? That's how it always happens out here. You shoot somebody, then you go to Vegas, and then you hope and pray that maybe you can keep dodging the law and you can stay on the run, and then maybe they'll forget about it. Maybe your files will get mixed up in the courtroom and they'll just forget that they're looking for you. That's not how it happens, man. You think that you're trying to get away from the police and detectives and snitches, and you feel that heat, when in reality the heat is the Most High. You can't get away from your judgment, right? Leviticus 24 and 17 says, if you kill any man, you shall be put to death, right? So if you take someone's life, you should expect a judgment on you. Now, I will say that the Lord is full of wrath, but he's also full of mercy, right? But in order to attain the mercy from the Most High, you would have to turn a whole new leaf. You would have to repent and never do what you was doing, never live the life that you was living. Give me that. Matthew 5 and 17.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets.
So Christ said, think not that I've come to destroy the law, which is the law of Moses, which is all of those rules and regulations that we're supposed to live by. The dietary law, the laws of uncleanness, the laws on how to treat your brother. Christ didn't come to take those things away. Go ahead. This is for a Christian. This is how you cut a Christian real quick. A pastor. Go ahead.
Or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
Christ said, are the prophets, meaning you got all the prophets that have come and prophesied the word of the Lord. They said certain things were going to happen. Some things have happened, but there are prophecies that have not happened. But Christ didn't come to take all of that away. He came to what?
But to fulfill.
He came to fulfill. What Christ came to do was to bring the scattered Israelites back together into one body. And he died for all of those Israelites that didn't know that they were God's chosen people who were worshiping different gods and, doing all manner of wickedness. But they didn't know, right? They didn't know who they were. And even until till today, till this day, Christ died for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians who think that they're Mexican, who think they're Puerto Rican, who think that they're Native Indian, but don't know that they're the children of Israel. That they don't know they're the children of God, right? That's who he came to die for, right? He didn't come to take away those things that would fix us. Even in a day like this, keeping the law, statute, and commandments is the only thing that has been proven to fix Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people. And you can see the example and the proof in the Isupk under Commander General Yohana, right? So if you could, I want to get the story. I'm gonna have to look this up. I want the story with King David, Abner, and Joab. So I believe it's 1 Samuel. Let me see. I can get it. Let me find it. Just bear with us. Let's see. So, one second. Abner, Joab.
It's 2 Samuel 3. Chapter 3.
It's 2 Samuel. I want to get some backdrop. Let's just start at 2 Samuel chapter 2. Let's start right there and see. Give me 2 Samuel. Let's get 2 Samuel 14. 2 Samuel 2 and 14. So for a backdrop, this is a battle between the captains of the military, Abner, who was the captain of the military for King Saul, and Joab, who was the captain of the military for King David. This when King David and King Saul, the house of King David and the house of King Saul were against one another, but at this time David was still promised to rule over all of Israel. If you don't know, at this time the kingdom was split, meaning Judah, or the southern kingdom followed King David, and the northern kingdom followed Saul. Right. So let's start here. This is a battle where both armies met. So if you would start at chapter 2, verse 14.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 2, and verse 14. And Abner said to Joab, "Let the young men now arise and play before us." And Joab said, "Let them arise."
Now they were both encamped across from one another, and Abner, the Saul's captain, told Joab, David's captain, "Let the young men arise and play," meaning let them go to war, right? And Joab said, "Let's do it. Let them arise." Keep reading.
Verse 15. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Isupk, the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. Verse 16. And they caught every one his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side, so they fell down together. Wherefore that place was called
Helkath
Hazuriah,
Hazurium.
which is in Gibeah.
So now 12 men from each side got up, rose up to fight, and they all grabbed each other and stabbed each other. So it was 12 on 12, and everyone killed each other. They thrust their swords against one another. Kind of like two people getting in a shootout and you both shoot each other at the same time and you both die, right? Well, in this case, they thrust swords through each other, and each brother both died from the side of from the house of Saul and from the house of David. Go ahead, verse 17.
Verse 17. And there was a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten.
It was a very sore battle, and Abner was beaten. So King Saul's men, they lost, right? Go ahead.
And the men of Israel before the servants of David.
And the men of Israel, meaning Abner and the men of Israel, meaning when you read in the scripture, sometimes the Lord differentiates between the two kingdoms, the northern and the southern. He calls the northern kingdom Israel, and the southern kingdom, Benjamin, Levi, and Judah, Judah. So the southern kingdom, the Negroes are called Judah. The northern kingdom, the Indian tribes, were called Israel. You'll see that wordplay a lot in the scriptures. So Abner was defeated, right? Read it one more time from that precept. And Abner
was beaten, and the men of Israel before the servants of David.
So before the servants of David. So they lost to the servants of David this day. Keep reading.
Verse 18. And there were 3 sons of Zariah there, Joab and Abishai, and Asael. And Asael was as light of foot as a wild roe.
And Asael was light of foot, meaning he could run. Now remember, I believe he was from the tribe of Benjamin, if I'm not mistaken. Asael was from the tribe of Benjamin, and you know them Benjamites can run. They some of the best sprinters and runners in the world, especially in the Olympics. What's that tall brother's name? You know what I'm talking? Usain Bolt. You got the Jamaicans. I think they took all the medals this past Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead. Call it out where you at.
Verse 19. And Asael pursued after Abner.
So Asael he chased after Abner. Now remember, Abner lost, and the men lost, and so they're going back to the kingdom. They don't lost the battle, right? But Asael he light of foot, he quick, he pursuing Abner. Go ahead.
And in going, he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner.
So he didn't stop from following him. He kept following him. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Then Abner looked behind him and said, Art thou Asael? And he answered, I am.
So Abner turned around and said, Ain't you Asael? Right? The brother, that's the younger brother of Joab. He's like, yeah, that's me. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And Abner said to him, Turn thee aside to thy right hand or to thy left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men, and take thee his armor. But Asael would not turn aside from following him.
So he said, turn to your right hand or your left, and take the armor, like take spoils from one of the soldiers that's running with me. Like, leave me alone. Basically he was giving him a chance, to stop following him and just go get some spoil, grab some of that armor, and you'll be good, right? Keep going.
And Abner said again to Asael, Turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab, thy brother?
So he said, stop following me. If I put you to the ground, if I kill you, how can I even show my face to your brother? Now, I want you to understand something. That this is Abner, right? The house of Saul. They was just battling against Joab and the house of David and his servants. And he had enough brotherhood to say, look, chill out. If I kill you, how can I even look at your brother? Now, this is one nation, but at this time, they're being enemies towards one another, right? Keep reading.
Verse 23. Howbeit he refused to turn aside.
He refused to turn aside, right?
Wherefore Abner with the hinder end of the spear smote him under the 5th rib. Take the spear That the spear came out behind him and
So,
he fell.
Go ahead. I'm Salaki.
That the spear came out behind him and he fell down there.
So Abner took his spear and thrust it through his fifth rib, and it came out his back. Abner was a man of war, and at this, what you just witnessed, what you're reading is you seeing a brother show someone mercy. Abner tried to show him mercy and told him, turn to the side, go grab some armor from another brother. I don't want to do this, right? And that's a lesson for you as a brother. If you have the upper hand, if you get in a fight with a brother, if there's a situation where you know you can win, or you know you already won, real brotherhood is showing mercy, right? It's not all about winning all the time, but showing some mercy. And that's what you just seen right here. He tried to show the brother some mercy, but the brother would not relent. He would not stop. He was out to kill him. But you're dealing with a captain of an army, of a military, right? And he could size him up and look at him and say, you ain't no match for me. Turn to the side and go mess with one of the other smaller soldiers. You can't deal with me. I'll put you down. But if I put you down, how can I look at your brother in his face? He tried to show him brotherhood. He tried to show him mercy, right? Go ahead.
And he fell down there and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asael fell down and died stood still. Verse 24. Joab also and Abishai pursued after Abner. And the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Ammah that lieth before Giah by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. Verse 25. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner.
So the children of Benjamin gathered themselves. It was Benjamin. Asael was Benjamin. The children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner and became one troop and stood on the top of the hill, right? I'm sorry, Benjamin gathered with Abner, right? Go ahead, 26.
Then Abner called to Joab and said, shall the sword devour forever?
So now they pursued Abner after he killed Asael, and Abner said, shall the sword devour forever? Shall we just keep killing and killing and killing? Like how you see, like we've been hearing our whole life, like in the streets. It's like a cycle. We get them, they come back and get one of ours. And it's just going to keep going and keep going. Just devouring each other, right? That's what they call black on black violence or gun violence. Just devouring each other. Just killing one. Abner saying, shall we do this forever? Because that's what's going to happen. You going to kill one of ours, we going to kill one of yours, and it's just going to keep going on and on and on. Keep going. What verse you on? 20.
Shall the sword devour forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the later end?
Don't you know it's going to be bitterness in the latter end? Keep going.
How long shall it be then, ere thou bid the people return from following their brethren?
So he basically asked them, will y'all stop from following us, pursuing us, to battle with us? It's because it's going to be bitter. It's going to be a bitter war, and one side is going to die, the other side is going to die. And mothers are going to cry, right, and weep and mourn. Keep reading.
Verse 27. And Joab said, as God liveth, unless thou hadst spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up, every one from following his brother. Verse 28. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still.
So Joab agreed with what Abner said. He said, if you hadn't said nothing, we would have kept following you. But then he blew a trumpet, and the people stood still. Keep going. Salaki, I didn't mean to stop you.
And pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they anymore.
So they didn't fight anymore, right? So we're going to fast forward it to, let's see. Let's go to chapter 3. Salaki, if we could, let's go to verse 6, chapter 3, verse 6.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 3, and verse 6. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 7. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah.
So Saul had a concubine, but Saul he's passed away, and his son Ishbosheth is on the throne. Right? Go ahead.
And Ishbosheth said to Abner, wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine?
So his son Ishbosheth accused him of sleeping with accused Abner of sleeping with his father's concubine. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head?
He said, Am I a dog's head? Go ahead.
Which against Judah do shew kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman.
So he said, do I look like a fool? Am I a dog's head? And I show so much kindness to the house of Saul, your father, right, against David. Basically, I delivered you from King David, and you trying to get at me over a woman after all of the protection I've given you from King David? Go ahead.
Verse 9. So do God to Abner, and more also accept, as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do to him. Verse 10. To translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. Verse 11.
So what Abner said is, you know what? Abner basically took his allegiance from the house of Saul after his son said that to him. Ishbosheth. After he said that to him, he took his allegiance from him, and he said, I'm going to help get King David on the throne and rule over all Israel. And this is what happened after that. Verse, what is it? 11.
And he could not answer Abner a word again, because he feared him.
He didn't answer Abner a word again because Abner was the commander of the military. The military is the power in any kingdom, right? You probably think the president got the power, but the military is the ones that's on the ground fighting for that nation. So it's like, what could he do? Because the whole house of Saul was standing because of the military might and because of the commander, Abner, right? Keep going.
Verse 12. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, Whose is the land? Saying also, Make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring about all Israel unto thee.
So this is what happened. Abner sent messengers that he was down with King David, and he was going to work to get all the provinces to fall up under the rule of King David. And it pleased King David. So if you want to skip down to verse 20, skip down to verse 20. We just fast forward it so it doesn't take long to get to the point, right?
The book of 2 Samuel chapter 3 and verse 20. So Abner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. Verse 21. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king, that they may make a league with me, and that thou mayest reign over all that thine heart desired. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace.
So Abner made a league with King David. He said, because remember we read that Abner had waxed strong in the house of Saul, so Israel respected Abner and followed Abner, right? And he's letting King David know, I'm gonna go make a league with Israel so that they will follow you, right? So let's keep going to verse 22.
Verse 22. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop, and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away and he was gone in peace. Verse 23. When Joab and all the host that was with him were come, they told Joab, saying, Abner, the son of Ner, came to the king, and he said, and he hath sent him away.
So Joab came after Abner had left. Joab, the commander of David's army, had came in from a great spoil, and he heard that Abner was there. Remember, his little brother was killed by Abner, Asael, right? Let's go. Keep reading.
And he hath sent him away, and he is gone in peace. Verse 24. Then Joab came to the king and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone? Verse 25. Thou knowest Abner, the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee.
So this is I'm gonna speed it up. So Joab told King David that he didn't come to make a league with you, he came to deceive you, right? So later on, Joab sent messengers to catch Abner, and he brought him back into the city, and he killed Abner. And this was the response to King David. If you skip down the response of King David, if you skip down 28.
Verse 28. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever from the blood of Abner, the son of Ner. Verse 29. Let it rest on the head of Joab and on all his father's house.
King David said, I'm guilty from that, right? King David didn't want to see bloodshed. He said, I'm guilty from the death of Abner. Go ahead.
And let there not fail from the house of Joab one that hath an issue.
He said, let there not fail from the house of Joab, because Joab killed him. He said, let there not fail one that have an issue, one that's, has some type of issue where they're always bleeding or something of that nature. Go ahead.
Or that is a leper.
Or that is a leper, some type of skin disease, right? Or leprosy.
Or that leaneth on a staff.
Someone that is feeble, right?
Or that falleth on the sword.
Or that die by the sword. Go ahead.
Or that lacketh bread.
Or that is poor and in living in want. He said, let not, what is the word? He said, let that rest on Joab and on his father's house, and let there not fail from his house, meaning all his descendants will go through that. That was what King David said after he heard that he had killed Abner after Abner left, telling him he was going to get the nation of Israel to come up under his rule, right? He said, I'm guiltless of his blood, right? Go ahead.
So,
30.
Verse 30. So Joab and Abishai, his brother, slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asael at Gibeon in the battle. Verse 31. And David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, rend your clothes and gird you with sackcloth.
And David was mourning. He told the people to rend their clothes and gird with sackcloth, meaning you would rip your clothes and they would have ashes. You would put it on your head, right? And to mourn for Abner. Go ahead and finish, Salaki. I'm reading it.
And gird you with sackcloth and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed the bier.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 32. And they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner.
And King David was he was in mourning. It said he lifted up his voice and he wept at the death of Abner. Why? Because Abner was still his people, right? He was still his people, even though Saul, the house of Saul, was enemies with the house of David. They were still Israelites, right? He was still an Israelite, and he was a valiant man in the body, in the body of God's chosen people, right? Go ahead.
And all the people wept. Verse 33. And the king lamented.
He lamented.
And the king lamented over Abner and said, died Abner as a fool died.
He said, damn, he died. Such a great man died like a fool died. You know how a fool died? A fool died by going out and robbing people, and somebody kills him. A fool died by going around shooting people and hurting people, and then he comes across the wrong one. That's how a fool died. Somebody ain't got no sense. Meaning he wasn't supposed to die like this. Go ahead.
Verse 34. Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put in fetters, as a man falleth before wicked men. So fellest thou, and all the people wept again over him. Verse 35. And when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David sware, saying, So do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or aught else till the sun be down. Verse 36.
You can drop that. So King David, the people came, they wept with King David. They tried to feed King David. And King David said, God do also to me. The Most High do the same thing to me if I eat bread before the sun go down. So King David didn't even eat. He fasted, right? And he wanted to let the people know that he was mourning for Abner and that Abner wasn't an enemy, right? The point of it is that that's real brotherhood. That's what real forgiveness is. When Christ talked about forgiving your enemies, you forgive your people, right? Doesn't mean that, you have to be buddy with them and friends and all that, but you don't hate your people until death and be happy when your people die, right? A lot of people was happy. A lot of, sisters and brothers was happy when that brother Kevin Samuels died, right? He never put a hand on anyone, right? That's the point I'm making is that even your enemy is still your brother, according to the scriptures, if they're Israelite. You don't have to, stay at their house and, go to their cookouts. But it comes a time when you will realize that the Lord is dealing with all of us, and we can't hate one another so much that we're happy when we die. We can't hate one another so much that we can't find a way to resolve our differences. And that's what happened. Abner found a way to resolve the differences and to bring the whole kingdom under one umbrella, under the rule of King David, right? And after he made the league with King David, Joab, in his emotions, right, because of what had happened to his brother, killed Abner unjustly, right? And he said Abner died like a fool died. King David said, and if you know the story, when King Saul pursued King David. He was trying to kill King David. And when King David had heard that King Saul had died, right? When he heard that, he ripped his clothes and he wept. He said, a great one, I'm paraphrasing, a great one of Israel has fallen today, right? And King Saul died in battle, but a brother put a sword through King Saul and then went and told David as though he was going to get a reward. King David put him to death. Even though King Saul was pursuing King David for his life, in death, King David had compassion, right? And he knew it wasn't right to lay your hands unjustly without no cause on the Lord's anointed. He said the Lord's anointed had fallen today. And that was someone that was pursuing him, trying to take his life, but somebody that he loved, right? So I hope everybody got a lesson out of that. We're going to go, what time check? We got, okay, I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to switch to Pride Month. Pride Month. I know a lot of brothers is talking about Pride Month. We're going to get to that. They have so many things going on. And they're so prideful, and love is love, and everything is love. And, it's harmless because, love has no boundaries, and it's just love, 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 right? Bear with me. Get this together. Give me 1 second. Can you see anything in the chat as far as like any questions?
No questions.
Let's get Solomon Gomorrah real quick. We'll get that. We'll get that. We'll get to that. Get Genesis chapter 19. Let's get that. Genesis 19. Genesis, yeah. That's where we're going to start. Let me know when you got it.
Come on,
you got it? Let's go.
19:1.
19:1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 19 and verse 1. And there came two angels to Sodom and Eve, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. Verse 2.
So Lot seen these two men. These two men were angels, and Lot greeted them, right? And he bowed his face toward the ground. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet.
That was hospitality in ancient times, because most people would wear sandals and your feet would be, full of dirt from walking. And when somebody would come in your house, you would offer to wash their feet, right? Go ahead.
And ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night.
The angel said, we're going to abide in the street all night. Or the men. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him.
So he persuaded them greatly, and he got them to come into his home. Go ahead.
And entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread.
So he showed great hospitality to them, right? Go ahead.
And they did eat. Verse 4. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came in to thee this night?
So they wanted to, they seen these men, and they wanted to know, where were these men that came into your house tonight? Go ahead.
Bring them out unto us, that we may know them.
They said, bring them out unto us that we may know them. These men wanted to have sex with these angels. That's how sinful these cities, and it wasn't just Sodom and Gomorrah, it was 5 cities that was destroyed. But that's how sinful, and that's how rampant the sexual deviancy and homosexuality was in this place. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him. Verse 7. And said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly.
He said, I pray, don't do this wicked thing, right? Because he knew what they wanted. Go ahead.
Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes.
So Lot did not want nothing to happen to these men. And when you would let someone come into your house, it's like they're under your care. So this would have been a terrible thing to happen under the hospitality of something like that happening to the people that you have invited into your home, right? To the point where he said, I have 2 daughters that have not known a man. Let that suffice. Let that be enough, right? To turn you away from doing this evil thing, right? Because usually a man would give away his daughters to a husband, to a man who he has approved. Lot was trying to give away his daughters because he didn't want these men to take the what, right? Because that's what they wanted. And let me see. I don't know if we should go any further. I think I made my point. The point is that that demon of homosexuality, it's a demon that wants to take it. It's a demon that won't take no for an answer. I'm sure you heard of sisters being being followed around by women are always, asked. Like a woman can't. What do you call the women when the lesbians when they act like a man?
Nice.
A stud. We're gonna try to be politically correct. A stud, like a stud, to be like trying to get a woman, and the woman is telling her no, no, and she's like, I'm gonna get her, and keep following her and keep trying to holler at her the same way a man would do. You know what I mean? But on a more demonic and lustful level, because the psychology of a homosexual is like they want to push what they believe in on you. They want to turn you like a goddamn vampire, right? That's what they want to do, and that spirit also is in men. You have that spirit. You have a gay homosexual spirit as a man. If you are still trying to talk to a woman after her telling you she has a man, right? That's that same spirit of not taking no for an answer, right? The same spirit of a man when he tried to holler at a sister and she said, "No, I'm cool. You B, you stupid B." That is a homosexual spirit, right? To get violent because you can't get what you want. That's the same spirit you see here in Sodom and Gomorrah with Lot. Fast forward, the angels got Lot out of there, and the whole city was destroyed, and the Lord rained fire and brimstone on the city, the five cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? But I wanted to touch on that, to touch on the spirit of Pride Month, the spirit of we're going to put it in your face, we're proud, and they're forcing it on you. They're forcing it on your children. They're forcing it. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of political power, right? And you damn near can't even say anything. But we're going to say something. We're going to say, "Thus saith the Lord," and the Lord is not with it. So if you could give me 1 second, we're going to get into the violence. They've done studies on the violence in same-sex relationships, right? You'll be surprised. Let's get give me I think I want is it Leviticus? Give me Leviticus 18 and 22, right?
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination.
Right. You shouldn't lie, and then get Romans 1 and 24. The Bible says don't lie with mankind as you lie with womankind, right? Meaning as a man, you're supposed to be with a woman. The Lord designed you to be with a woman. That's why she's so damn beautiful. That's why Black and Hispanic and Native Indian women are so damn beautiful, because you was designed to be with them and to come together and make babies, to be a progenitor, to have offspring, to be fruitful and multiply. That's why like I know y'all heard that forever. The Lord didn't make Adam and Steve. He made Adam and Eve. Damn right. The Lord made a man and a woman to come together in a union and reproduce and have children, have offspring, and have a heritage, right? That's the point of us being male and female. That's the whole point, right? Give me Romans 1 and 24. Because they talk about love, 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 love. It's all about love, right? Go ahead.
The book of Romans, chapter 1 and verse 24. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanliness through the lust of their own hearts.
Right. The Lord gave them up to unclean acts through the lust of their heart, through that sexual deviant lust that, people who, the LGBT community, that's the political correct term. The people who are a part of that community, they have they have a lust that is a sexual deviant demonic lust, right? And a lot of them are just people who were traumatized as a child, abused as a child, molested as a child, had horrible childhoods, foster kids as a child. That's a lot of their history, right? You're looking at broken people. You're not looking at people that know what the hell they're doing. You're looking at people that are doing what they want to do and no one can tell them anything right or wrong, right? Go ahead.
To dishonor their bodies between themselves. So like, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Keep going.
Keep going.
Verse 25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie? Who did that? The so-called white man changed the truth of God into a lie, right? The other nations changed the truth of God into a lie. The truth that a man is supposed to be with a woman and have a family, right? Everything that the Lord has said to do, they go against. Go ahead.
And worship and serve the creature more than the creator.
And serve the creature. You serve the creation more than you serve the creator. Keep going.
Who was blessed forever. Amen.
Keep going. What verse are you on?
Verse 26.
Uh-huh.
For this cause God gave them up into vile affection.
No, he gave them up to love.
Love.
He gave them up into loving affections.
For this cause God gave them up into vile affections.
He gave them up to beautiful unions.
Vile affections.
He gave them up to loving families.
Vile affections.
The Lord, listen, with Pride Month, LGBTQ, all of that is a vile affection according to the Lord. You know what vile means? It means it's disgusting before his sight. It's an abomination before his sight. The Lord gave them up to vile affections, right? I know a lot of us may know people or have family members that are, LGBTQ. But the truth of the Bible is not with that. According to the scriptures, the Lord hates that, right? And if you love the Lord and you follow the Lord, you should too. They know what time it is. They know right from wrong. Right? Read it one more time.
For this cause, God gave them up into vile affections.
He gave them up to vile affections. And y'all look at it like it's real love. Y'all look at it as two men go adopt a child. That's a loving family. The Lord says that's a vile affection. It's detestable, right? Let me send you this. I'm gonna send you this this article real quick. So vile. Is there anything else on it? Keep going.
For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
For even the women changed their natural use, which is against nature. What is nature? Male and female, even in nature, male and female go together, right? Not female and female, not male and male. It's against nature. It's not natural, right? And I know they're trying to bring up some animal that can, sleep with the same sex, some insect or something. But the point of it is it's a vile affection. It's not real, right? And what you'll find out is that these people that are in this mind state, a lot of them, like I just said, have suffered horrible, traumatic experiences growing up. That's why they're there. In the 1970s, did you know that it was same-sex marriage was considered a mental illness? If you thought that it was okay to be in a same-sex marriage, you were considered to have a mental illness, because it's almost like you're saying, I'm a dog, so I'm going to identify as a dog, and I'm going to walk down the street and bark as a dog because that's what I see myself as, right? I think it's okay. So it was a more of a disease of the mind. According to the Bible, it's not just a disease of the mind, it's a disease of the spirit. It's a disease of what's going on inside of you, right? And it's also the residue of what happened to you when you were a child. I guarantee you, if you sit and ask these people in these groups and you pull them to the side and you ask them what was their childhood like, I bet you they had hellish, horrible childhoods, right? Is there any more on that? All right, you can drop that. Let me get this. this article on the violence in same-sex marriages. We're about to learn something today. If you didn't know, you're gonna learn something. So, where we at? Got it. I'm finna send you this. Let me know when you get it. Just let me know when you get it. So part that violence goes back to even in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Where these men beat on the house and they was relentless and they wanted to pull these men out the house. They didn't know they were angels. They wanted to pull them out the house and have sex with them, right? That's wicked and evil and disgusting. You got it? So this is you can go ahead and read the title for me.
Violence and the LGBTQ community.
So these are some of the statistics of the violence in the LGBTQ community, right? You'll be surprised. Go ahead.
Number one, 43.8% of lesbian women and 61.1% of bisexual women have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner at some point in their lifetime.
So 43% of was lesbian women. We're not going to use the bisexual women because bisexual means the violence could be coming from a man or a woman. So, but if we're going to use that 43% of lesbian women suffer this type of violence, right? Now I want you to skip down to men.
26% of gay men and 37.3% of bisexual men have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime.
Does it say heterosexual also? Does it give you the numbers on a heterosexual, like same sex? I mean, not same sex, but
No, it's in the same.
Right. So okay, go back. Give me we got the 43 for the lesbians, right? Now give me the heterosexual women number.
As opposed to the 35% of heterosexual women.
So 35%. Wow. So 43% of lesbians are violent towards and have domestic violence issues compared to 35% of straight women. So it looks like the LGBTQ is more violent than regular, straight people. Now go to the men.
In comparison to the 29% of heterosexual men.
So heterosexual men is 29%. So that's even lower. What about men who are same sex? What's the violence level between them?
37.3.
37.3.
26%.
26% of gay men suffer from domestic violence. 43% of gay women, lesbian women, suffer from domestic violence. Now, it sounds like they're more violent than heterosexual people. Maybe because they are. Maybe because they're suffering from mental illness and they're suffering from past traumas and they're suffering from sexual deviancy, right? Maybe they are. In fact, the numbers say that they are. And it's something else in those numbers that you probably wasn't illustrated, is that women are more violent than men. The numbers are higher, right? But the point of it was not to bring that out. The point of it was to bring out the fact that they're higher than heterosexual, meaning men and women have domestic disputes, but it's not more than the LGBTQ, right? They're violent. And a lot of that violence has to do with the erratic behavior and the lustful sexual deviancy lifestyle that they have chosen to live, that America promotes, like with Pride Month. America promotes it, right? So you can drop that. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I wanted to cover a lot, but I know I don't have the time to. We're not gonna get to it tonight. We're not gonna get to it tonight. So yeah, we're gonna drop that right there. So the point is that the Lord is against the LGBT community. The Lord is against Pride Month. It is not love. It is a vile affection. It is something that is detestable to the Lord. And if you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, this is your warning. This is your warning, right? See, in the kingdom, in the kingdom, in the Old Testament, you would have been put to death, right? Now you have time, you have a grace period because of Christ to change. But time is short, right? We see the things happening in the earth. We see what's going on in the world. It's time to repent. It's time to turn away from those things that you thought was right. It's time to admit to yourself that all of your relationships have been violent. None of your relationships are working out. And they're not working out because the Lord is not with that. They're not working out because the Lord is not in that, right? They're not working out because that's confusion. I hate to tell you, but that's confusion. And what needed to happen was that you had somebody in your life that could have taught you better. Somebody in your life that could have told you that is not the way. And how do I know that if you're in the LGBT community that you probably been molested? Because that's what people say. That's what people say, how they even got there. You know, the pastor Eddie Long had molested two boys, and when they got older, one of them killed himself. But they turned into homosexuals, right? But one of them killed themselves, right? So there's a lot of things that go on in the Black and Hispanic community that are not talked about, but they manifest in our lifestyles and what we think is acceptable, what we think is okay. Because when I was growing up, it used to be a time when people had, it was a term called being in the closet. Like, now everybody is just flamboyant and, flaming and hot. And, and some of y'all are so silly. Y'all go to these things and take your children to be around half naked men and women. Like that's a sickness in itself. What are you doing to your child? You're destroying your child. That's what you're doing, right? But the reality is a lot of these brothers and sisters have been through a lot. And that's why I even say if you indulge in porn, if you indulge in OnlyFans, if you indulge in strippers, if you indulge in any of those sexual deviant acts as a black man or woman, and that what you like, and you're entertained by that, then you are a supporter of child molestation. Because I guarantee you, these people have went through things, have been touched, have been molested, have been raped, have been in foster care, have seen their mothers and fathers on drugs, have lost their mothers and fathers at a young age, and they couldn't cope. And those are the people that you are watching. You think they're so lit because they're half naked on a screen. You think they're just all that, and they're so what they call it when a woman is like she's all naked, like what's that one girl, Lizzo. You think that when women are like that they're just a bad bee. They're sexually liberated. They're just free. They're true to themselves. When really they're just a little kid in the inside that's been molested and been touched. With that, that's the class. Let's clap it up.